video. I have been crying off and on all of June, and it's to be expected, but more than that, it is a positive thing, because I have been in a state of what do you call it? I've been receiving treatment for epilepsy, and it's not just like a matter of taking a medication and waiting. There's a lot of epilepsy is not the same thing as a seizure disorder. Epilepsy is the state in which you can have seizures if you do not have a seizure disorder without being at the end of life or a severe medical emergency. Most people will go into, will have seizures. Who have seizures, most people will deal with that a lot. Some people will be able to identify their triggers long enough in order to stop having them, or at least have some medication in order to make them not as prevalent and excuse me, what's the right word? Disabling to them in their life and stuff. There's a lot of different things people can do. I do not have a seizure disorder. I cannot have a seizure disorder. I am able to have epilepsy, which is a state I go into that is different from my normal waking state, and I am officially over epilepsy. And one of the ways that I know that, even though I am having grand mal episodes having to do with my female cycle and stuff, it's still not a seizure. The epileptic state that I go into is or am able to go into, or is a completely different mental change. Not only mental but physical. I have different, like my hands in the last 2 years, I shared last night that my hands were swollen. I wanted, because some of this, I think anybody, when they are diagnosed with diabetes, it takes some time. It's not exactly, there's a lot of medical conditions that are like that you're just kind of, it's a little unbelievable, even in my situation, to where I have tested, it's was something that I was like, I'm afraid of diabetes. I've been afraid of diabetes my entire life because, and when I say diabetes, I mean having diabetes. So I do not have diabetes too. In fact, I think my blood sugar was higher when I was in my 20s than it is now, and I didn't have working symptoms like I do now, like hand swelling or anyways. So it is not, and I have been pretty decent about, like, I mean, if I don't eat correctly, then I don't feel good. So, and I've got a lot of stuff to do constantly, and I need my mind, and so I try to do what I can. So it's just that's a lot at once. It would be categorized. It is categorized at diabetes 1. It's, not diabetes 2. There's not anything I can do about it. Except do what I'm supposed to do, as according to, like, doctors and medicine and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, it does, me knowing that my hands are swelling and stuff because of that and how all that worked yesterday. There's nothing like asking, for proof and needing to see, how things add up, and it following through. It is relieving. It's, I have a lot of mental frustrations and having to do with my medical stuff, and worry that things are gonna get worse. Also, I'm beginning to, like, easily wake up every day, and my mind is here. Like, it's not foggy, it's not, I'm not having a hard time processing things, like, and that's great. But that also shows me, for about 2 weeks during the month, when I do have a little bit of cognitive problems and stuff like that, it makes it like there's just a much bigger difference. But I've been dealing with this for a couple years now, and so I on the other side of that, my mind, being hijacked and me having to follow along, and read as much as I can and interact as much as I can those 2 years, and it was very, 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 very difficult, and I'm gonna say this because it is very true, very embarrassing. Like, all of this, that is a big thing. Everything is really embarrassing. And I'm going to leave it at that, because, like I said, I have spent the last couple weeks crying at least once every day. So I am really glad to wake up day after day and be cognitive and, like, but I am thoroughly and could not be even more embarrassed for there are probably 10 different reasons, major reasons. None of them should I be embarrassed about, but I am a person that works really, 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 really hard on things that I believe in and on things that I have put my name on. I, also have people that, I care about and such. I care about my community, and I have worked really hard to piece together, a private community, and people that and support me emotionally and stuff. I'm a little shocked at how much I have been crying, but I am so glad to not be, to not have PTSD anymore, is what it is. I was diagnosed with PTSD and right after the hurricane. That one was real and true. That was something by itself. I had a lot of trauma before the hurricane leading up to it, because I was going through epilepsy treatment then and all the medical stuff. But one of the things is dealing with PTSD is the very real documented inability to have any kind of reactional back and forth. It's just your mind is not as clear. Things don't connect. Your empathy level goes down. Your attention is down during PTSD. And it's something that's really, it's sad in itself that people go through it. It's one of those things. It's you definitely a lot of times dealing with medical stuff that's really traumatizing, and then going through something like the hurricane at the same time, and not having nobody in my family checked on me. I had no family or friends that checked on me. Weeks went by, months went by, and there was nobody. While going through epilepsy treatment, and I had, my mom was I tried to tell her I was, having seizures. I couldn't really speak well. She, just told me, no, you're not. My grandparents, they have, had an aunt, my dad's sister, and she is like, what started it? And I was born with this condition, and she knows that. There's absolutely no reason for anybody to be saying stuff like that to me. And also, the thing is not speaking to me, for absolutely no reasons. Nothing has happened, except, ooh, excuse me, lies and stuff, because that's some of the things that I have been told, and had the questions I have had posed to me have absolutely no foundation or backing or anything, and only led to more pain on my end, because then I was stuck with thoughts, trying to reach out to family who I care and love deeply, and then only really weird, negative, having nothing to do with anything type of replies have I gotten back. So, or got back, so. It's a little, it was, it's still confusing, but not really sure, like, there's not really anything I can do about that. It doesn't make any sense, and it makes me worry about the safety, of the people I care about. I'm like, how are you walking around and taking care of yourself? And this is really real, very real, and thinking that, the grass is purple. Like, and I've not had anybody directly say that. I think that's on purpose, but like, it's really creepy. So there's, those little aspects, wake up alone every single day. I wake up alone knowing that there is an extreme lack of empathy on everybody I have ever met's part. And I think that that's really sad. I really don't know what to do about that. There really isn't anything you can do except, I know a whole lot of people that really need to go to church. I know a whole lot of people that really need to sit down and pray and take a look at their lives and where they've been and where they're going, and do the math. Praying is a real thing. Praying is a literal thing. It is something that you do physically, and so should thinking should also be something you do literally and on purpose. It's not something you can get away with or get away from. So I have to figure out how. I have to find the key, purchase a water key in order to turn, so I have the ability to turn my water off at the street. I've always borrowed my grandparents, but they're not in a place where I can, talk to them or ask them for help or anything without being re-traumatized, because my grandfather can't speak, he won't speak to me. Have no idea why. It started when I started having, like, they don't know what seizures are, they don't know what epilepsy is, they don't know anything about any kind of developmental disorders or anything like that, or neurological disorders. They don't know. They know what they see. And like my cousin Madeline has diabetes 1, and she has a port in her, that she got when she was like 17 years old, and they can see that, like, so they understand that, and that's actually criminal. That's not how. That is a lack of it's the opposite of intelligence and learning and stuff. That's playing games, that's playing video games, that's all they do. And they've been like that my entire life. That is severe mental disorders. That you aren't born with, by the way. I was born with an eating disorder, and so mine is disabling, of course, because it's rooted in physicalness, the hypogeusia, but at the same time, it's disabling because of my other medical conditions. So that is the thing. I am more disabled than anybody I have ever met or ever heard of. And when I say disabling, I mean I am still up walking around. I am still contributing to those around me. I'm still, past, present, future, working through stuff, trying to make my life and the people around me's lives better. That is what I do my entire existence, my entire life. There isn't anything else to do. When you have been as neglected emotionally as I have by everybody, all 50 Greenville members of my family, there really ain't nothing else you can do, and I even have been told, you worry too much about other people, blah, blah, and it's like, what do you mean, other people? There's no one back here. I live alone. Like, there isn't anybody that gives a shit about me, like, at all. Like, what else do you do? There's only so much, I only exist from this point to this point, and, once you understand yourself and stuff, what else would you do besides give back to the people around you in your community? There isn't anything else out there. We can't live on Mars, we can't live on Venus, we can't live on the moon, can't live on the sun or any of those other planets that you can see in pictures and stuff. That is the next step. So that's, really crazy to have somebody say that to you. But also, You don't want them to care for you. And in caring for other people, you care for yourself, If my grandparents allowed me to come over there and cut their grass for them and stuff, which of course they would never do, or clean their garage or whatever, that would help me in multiple ways, bonding with them, bonding with my life that I've had up until the last couple years. I have just never heard of any family ever pulling away from somebody that they have worked so hard on paper, in order to care for, but like when they needed them most, not only did they pull away from me, they started attacking me. None of it made any sense, of course, because there's literally, that is borderline prosecutable. So, not only when you are a victim do you have to deal with the repercussions of the physicalness, of like the trauma and stuff, but then you also have to figure out how to continue to defend yourself, because it doesn't just go away. The past doesn't just go away. So you have to, figure out how to move forward, and you're not changing to make space for something positive, like your child going away to college or something like that. You're making space and changing in case you need to prosecute your family members, in case they continue to view you as a hallucination demon or whatever it is, the reason why they attacked me. I think it's it don't get it, things don't get any more terrible than that. And then I have a sister who is mentally and physically disabled, a mother who has also, slowly lost her mind in the past 5-6 years. She is elder, but of course, I've got a brother who is halfway mentally disabled, who, part because of being in the same environment as me, but the other part is, because he also, has a mental disorder, and mental disorders are real and true, and you have to go to doctors, you have to work community therapies and stuff like that in order to like overcome it, and he was too worried about like what just happened to me with my family, like what happened to me when I got sick, that he was, worried that was going to happen, to him and stuff. And it some of that stuff has happened. Like I have that stuff on VHS, it's pretty weird. I've never seen or heard of anybody, being like doing stuff like that to their kids and their family members, and that being okay. Like, it is really sad to watch people try and steal and try to raise somebody and then turn around and be like, just kidding, we hope you die. Like, and not say that, but like live like that and stuff. So there is a lot to think about. Luckily, I am not having I'm not in epilepsy anymore, so I can easily conceptualize those things and let them, there isn't nothing I can proactively do about those situations. When it's a situation that's like when you've been spoken to every single time when you see somebody like, like your dog shit. It's just like you're being bullied in school or something, and you are somebody's grandchild or child, it doesn't make a whole hell of a lot of sense. It's very, very depressing. It's also extremely worrisome because of the nature of my medical conditions. I am slow working socially. I can communicate, and I can, obviously, sitting here talking, but when it comes to, it's the same situation as somebody being very elderly and is able to walk, but they are in a wheelchair, all day long. Like, I can, do certain things and whatnot, but it takes a lot. And that is not empathetic to me or the people around me, that I choose to associate with and communicate with, and, where I live. I can't work, like, for any kind of valuable, like, I have never made any kind of profit. I cannot make a profit financially. I have been like this my entire life, and not a single person has ever had, like, within my family had any knowledge or compassion towards understanding what empathy is and how that connects to, like, you live in a town. So, oh man, my body is hurting a little bit. My thumb is swollen today. It is reactive. To the blood sugar level. I will not be drinking sodas. That was my last test to know that I cannot drink sodas. I have, like, I drink a whole big glass of cherry Pepsi, and yeah, that's definitely a no-go. I think I might not leave the house today. Father's Day really took it out of me. People is, for my mind, not being top tier, and it is not after, all the things that I've talked about that I've been through in the past couple years. The treatment for the epilepsy, the PTSD, I'm so thankful to be on the other side of it, but my head's hurting. I also have to rest and kind of disassociate a little bit, I might go over to the Gower Park and take a walk, just to be out in the sun and not having to, take deliveries and be out in the sun at the same time, and just like take some time to myself. Because I am so glad to be able to have a vehicle, and I really shouldn't be doing the DoorDash thing, but I have absolutely no choice, unless I want to go stay in a shelter, and I definitely do not want to do that. If my family has never acknowledged, that I have any kind of medical condition, as then I certainly don't want to go into a shelter and have to explain to them about, having conditions that you were born with and all that, everything I just sat here and explained. So, because it should not be like this. So one day at a time. I haven't done the math yet, so I'm not 100% sure if I can take today off, but I really hope so. Those water keys are like $20. I've been meaning to get one for like 2 years now, because I knew something was gonna happen. I knew, it was like, if something happens to my pipes, there's absolutely nothing I can do about it, so, it would still be charged for the water, I have to get that done, and hopefully be able to I've already taken away taken apart and looked and checked at the tub and stuff in the faucet. It's still dripping. I need to take the whole thing off. I'm not sure if I'm going to have to purchase a new one, but it's kind of stripped a little bit is what it is. I know enough mechanically about, like I just said, mechanically, and, what that looks like and stuff. I've done enough work on houses my entire life. My dad was always doing something and should show us, we'd stand there and watch him take things apart or fix things and stuff. An investigative, like, we just watched him do a lot of stuff, so I know how. And also my grandmother. My grandmother spent a lot of time, doing little things and trying to, without having to call anybody. So I am very prepared to, deal and live on my own, even though it is something that I don't think is admirable in any shape or form. I think that's wonderful, I think that is really great, and, an achievement to be able to fix and do things on your own. I think that's awesome, but in reality, it is admirable, or it is, better, to be able to call someone that has, spent their, time and life and, knows what they're doing. So, Sometimes things go wrong, and where you might only had to have called one person to help you with something, at the end of the day, you might have to call 10 different companies or situations in order to fix your mistake. So I think that is, that's not actually not me thinking. That is more intelligent. That is, the way things should be. You can't be 100% about everything, So it's very far and few between the people who, can do everything. And as a person, as a woman and stuff, it is not my job, to be a car mechanic, to be a plumber, to be a roofer, to be a landscaper, and to have to do all of those things on my own, not only at the age I am today, but at, 25 years old. So the fact that I've never been allowed to call, and to have things fixed, and I've always have to do it myself or wait, because apparently some people are born with a bag of money somewhere, according to lots of people, which is definitely not the case, so, that's really weird. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I'm really glad to be able to have emotional reactions and to express my frustration and anger. I'm also glad to be able to put one thought in front of another and follow, along logically. I hate making mistakes, but I'm also glad to be able to be in a place that I can, make mistakes and stuff, and work through, what I mean is learn through them, You can't do that when you're in a state of epilepsy. It is Tuesday. I have a lot of bills piling up because I was supposed to today is Tuesday, June 23rd. 20 days ago, I was supposed to receive a loan and to catch my bills up and to give me a little bit of peace. And it has not come through. The college that I have been at is absolutely terrible about timing and being on any kind of schedule. So I like their system. I like their Blackboard system and the way that they have all their classes set up. I'm learning a lot, and it is the best college for me that I know of, because you can't just go around the online colleges and visit them like you do normal colleges. And also, I had to do all this really quickly, so but with their scheduling and stuff like that, and being a place that you can depend on for, they are absolutely terrible. I would not recommend the college I'm at to anybody, and that's sad, because it is one of the most popular ones. Long term, they are terrible. I don't know how they are still a company, because it's been like that. I guess I've been there 3, almost 4 years. The end of the year will be 4 years. Oh, excuse me. Anyways, it's Tuesday. It's June 23rd. I hope everybody has a really good day today. It's a little bit afternoon. I'm still processing things a little bit. My mind just keeps like thinking about things that I've been through and stuff, and that is part of the PTSD being removed. Is now I can like think about stuff to where for a long time like I could not do it. It's like something pressing on something, and it don't go, it doesn't, like, there's something there, and that happens with PTSD. I've dealt with it before in my life, a couple times, and it was something that is when I knew, like, when I started having seizures, I was like, or, when I realized that that's what was going on, before I had the words, I just was like, this is going to suck. Like, this is my worst nightmare. Because I already have developmental, and I already have a developmental disorder. I don't need a personality developmental disorder on top of that. There is no bigger fear. I'd rather be, stung by a handful of hornets than go through what I have been through. In the past couple of years. Just wanted to get some of that off my mind. And, I hope everybody has a good day. I'm going to say that again. I think I might go get some tea. Trying to figure out what I might want to drink besides just plain water, which I do enjoy, obviously, because it does clear any of, like, the sugar out of my system that I may have ingested, not just the accident or the situation last night, but, yeah. Have a good rest of your day and a good day tomorrow.